One-on-One with Mike and Mike. This is Mike Vetrano along with my partner in crime, Michael Torriero. Today's guest originally coached at Hofstra, Northern Illinois, North Carolina, Binghamton, and finally at Hofstra. That's Dennis Papadatos. How are you, Dennis?
Doing good, man.
Good. You look good. You sound good. So a couple of questions. We have a lot of things we want to talk about, but first of all, I mentioned that you coach at 4 places before finally coming back to Hofstra. So, obviously you're a proud Hofstra alum. They were the Flying Dutchman, I believe, back then, right? Now they're the Pride.
We switched to Pride my junior year.
Right. So a little bit. You had a little bit of both, right? Then you were at Northern Illinois, Midwest, North Carolina, and Binghamton, and now you're finally the head coach at Hofstra. I think it's your 6th or 7th season, right? So how did those 4 stints? I think each of those schools are different, right? How did those 4 stints prepare you to be the head coach at your alma mater, just 10 or 15 minutes away from where you grew up in Bethpage and went to Elm Trees?
I've told people this before. I've been kind of blessed, right? I've been lucky. Some of that luck is because I work my butt off and people appreciate it and they bring me along. But I've had every role. Like, I was a walk-on athlete. I was a full scholarship athlete. I was the worst kid on the team. I was one of the better kids on the team. I was a graduate assistant. I was a strength coach. I was the volunteer assistant. I was the second assistant. I was the head assistant. I was the associate head coach. Now I'm the head coach. I'm one of the few people that experienced every gambit, right? Like, so a kid can't tell me something I don't know. Like, they just can't. The only thing I can't appreciate is being the blue chip star recruit, because I never experienced that, right? So it prepared me because I've had a hand in everything, I've had a hand in everything. I probably got the most prepared at Binghamton, me and Papalizio. And, then obviously probably UNC, experienced that big time athletic department, and that's fun and it's awesome. But, every place gave me something a little different. I was blessed that everywhere I was, I had a lot of involvement, but I really wore every hat. I don't know anyone else that's worn every hat like I have. I've never met anyone that's had every role in a staff. And like I said, was a walk-on athlete and a scholarship athlete as well. So, I think it's prepared me because I can probably easier to know what to expect. But it's still hard to expect things, I can tell you that.
Well, talking about expectations and being humble, you were obviously a successful athlete in high school. You were a Division I athlete, a scholarship athlete at Hofstra. Now you're the head coach at a Division I college. I ask kind of everyone in your shoes the same question. What was harder? Was it harder to win that big match as an athlete or to squeeze that big win as a coach, for Domain? What was harder for you? And how was it different?
55 times harder, 150 as a coach. It's not even close. There's so many things you have to manage. There's so many things you have to care about, so many things that you have to control. And when you're an athlete, you worry about yourself, and you worry about yourself to better the team, right? As I tell every guy every time, I'm like, you guys have to worry about yourself and love everybody. I have to worry about everybody and love everybody. That's the big difference. I want you to care about your teammates, but don't worry about them. You worry about yourself. I worry about you and them, and I gotta love everybody. So it's just way harder. And because of that, it's way more rewarding. And I never would have thought that. Never. I remember when I first graduated and I was grumpy. I still believe I should have been a 2-time All-American, and it was a 0-time All-American. I'm still mad about it. It's probably why I coach. And I remember thinking, I don't want to coach. I don't want someone to have more success than me. Now I hope the whole team, it does, you know what I mean? Like, once you start doing it, and actually, one of my assistants, Mike Vetrano, he's one of the first people that I realized when he was a freshman, because when I graduated, he was a senior in high school, and then he came in, and I remember like working with Mike all the time. I couldn't wait for him to be an All-American, right? Because like you actually cared more. Like I cared more about him being an All-American than I did myself when I was going through it, right? I just use him as an example because there was other people.
Of course.
And you realize that you end up caring more about them. Helping someone else accomplish your goals is more rewarding than accomplishing your own. And I never would have thought that until I actually went through it.
Well, you had a pretty good, a pretty successful career for being a walk-on. You were 5 matches away from having a century of wins. Yeah. You were a 2-time conference finalist, a 4-year starter. You were a conference champion. You're finally back home now where you're at. So, the pride of Hofstra. can you tell the listeners at home, the kids that are listening from the Midwest or what have you, what the competitive advantage that Hofstra has away from the wrestling mat, but just kind of, as a student first and an athlete, people that are going to school to get an education to become professionals, what separates Hofstra from other like schools for recruits?
Awesome. First, one thing I want to kind of correct, which is not anyone's fault. Always had an issue.
Correct Mike anytime you want.
No, but it's not Mike's fault. It's not Mike's fault. I've tried correcting them. Okay. I actually have 107 college wins, but I wrestled. For some reason, we didn't count when you beat a junior college kid in a tournament. So every time I wrestled when I beat Rashad Evans in the New York State Court.
It's a pretty big win. Yeah, it's a pretty big win. Yeah.
Twice, like they don't count it. And now we count all those wins. And I'm like, you robbed me. I had over 100 wins because I counted them. I had 107. And when they posted 95, I'm like, no.
They robbed you.
Yeah, they robbed me. They robbed me.
All right, Matty D, call someone. I know you know someone. Call someone and get the set.
I have. I've been yelling about it since before.
We'll figure it out for you.
But
it's always better to have somebody else, fight.
Yeah, we'll advocate for you.
We got Matty D, the director of research and data, the best in the biz.
Yeah.
He'll write a strongly worded letter to the powers.
Yeah. People.
The problem is they never documented them. I'm like, I know my records every year. It's 107, but anyway.
We'll figure it out.
The things that we offer, I personally, I fought to get our roster cap up, and we finally got it from when I first got it 20 to 26. We finally got 26, but I don't want it much bigger. I don't want it much bigger than 30. We pride ourselves on that. We look for the right kid, right? We look for the kid that you got to have the grades. We don't have a choice anymore. It's back in the day. Truth is, even when I went here, Hofstra can get anyone they wanted into the school. That doesn't exist anymore. We don't get them. They're not acceptable. They changed the whole academic profile of the university. So, I routinely recruit kids that are looking at every Ivy League school, the Drexels, the Americans. That's the only people we compete with, So, we feel like we offer that top-notch education, and it's impossible for you to be a number here. It's impossible. I can't afford it. I can't afford hey, you want to be a walk-on? Yeah, sure, come on down. You want to be a walk-on? Sure, come on down. I only had 20. Now we only have 26. Everyone that comes into my program, I have to feel comfortable that we're going to put the time and effort to develop you, because there's a good chance you're going to have to put the singlet on and represent us. And I need you to go out there and represent us. So when you have 40 kids in the team, and a lot of teams do, you can say what you want. When I was at UNC, we had 40 kids, and the bottom 15 didn't get attention. There's just not enough time in the day. If you come to Hofstra, we have no choice but to give you attention. It's kind of bought into the system. We have no choice but to develop you, because if we don't develop you, we don't got no one else, right? Because we don't have that luxury. So, but we also have 20-something guys that it's enough that you got great workout partners. It's enough that you're fighting for your starting spot. We got two weights, man, that we got 3 or 4 good guys this year, which we haven't had in a long time. But you're going to also get that attention because I need you. I need you to be good. I can't just have you to be he's a walk-on, we'll put him in the corner. We got to develop this kid. We have no choice but to develop this kid. So I think the combination of the academic profile of competing in the EIWA and it's Long Island. We have the best food in the country. You can argue.
We do have good food. We do have good food. No, we do.
Can't argue with me. We got the best food in the country. And, we have a program that we've had 30 All-Americans in our history. That's more than Virginia Tech. That's more than UNC. That's more than Binghamton. That's more than a lot of places. We've had a national champ. We finished top 10 in the country before. That's where I want to go back to, right? That's where we're trying to work to get back to. So we've had success here. We've had success at a high level. We've had success at a high level in spurts over a very long period of time. You can win here. You can get an education here. You can be developed here. You can be successul here. So
Gallo was 79, 80 in that range, right? 78, 79.
77.
So I'm saying that for a reason, because it's not like, you guys are successful at one period of time. You have all Americans throughout that whole period, it's ups and downs. But my point is, you had a national champ. It's going to be done. It can be done. It will be done at Hofstra,
And that's what I tell everyone all the time. We had an All-American 2 years ago.
Hughes. Yeah.
And listen, I love him. I love him to death, right? I'm good friend. Carrie Cole's one of my best friends. People always how hard it is to have an All-American? Carrie Cole still technically hasn't coached one until he had Nathan Kreiser. You know what I mean? And everyone, he was up for the running for the coach of the year, right? What? We had one 2 years ago. You know what I mean? And my first year, we had Cody Rigarello that was 1 inch away from being he lost the All-American round, had the kid at a 46-degree angle for a minute. It was the right call. He didn't have backs, but we were 1 inch away, 1/2 a second swipe away. We went at an All-American 5 years ago too. You know what I mean?
So Dennis, if I have two questions for you. So it sounds like, academically, you guys are very, very strong. So academic-minded student athletes who can come there, they can, do any number of things to be able to advance themselves professionally. There's teacher school, there's business school. If a student athlete wanted to go and contact you, should they be going anywhere besides gohofstra.com and look up the wrestling team? Should they be doing anything more than following you guys on Instagram with Hofstra Wrestling? Is there anything particular where they should be going to fill out a profile, or a way to get in touch with you in the program if they're interested?
For sure. We obviously have the profile link on the website. I always say email. Send me an email and we'll look into it. We get so many of those profile links. Obviously follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, on Facebook. I know that's an older generation, but I still like Facebook.
Hey man, I use Facebook. Come on.
Me too. It's my favorite.
Yeah.
But reaching out to the coach, to me and to Jamie and Mike's still on staff as a volunteer. We'll have another full-time assistant next year. Due to COVID, we didn't replace Mike's full-time position, but we will. Reaching out to the coaches, let us know you're interested. Let us know what you're looking at. Like you said, we have a law school, we have a engineering school, we have a business school, we have, if you want to be the teachers college, we have pretty much everything. We offer a ton of majors. And our starting salary is out of Hofstra very, very high, super competitive. And, our team GPA last year was a 3.56. So I tell everyone, well, you're going to get an academic scholarship, you have to maintain a 3.0. They're like, is that hard? Every single kid on our team has a 3.0 or higher. Every single one, not 90% of them, every single one. So if you don't have a 3.0, I'm going to put my foot right where you don't want it. So don't worry.
One more quick rapid fire question, because I know that time's limited for everybody involved. In a couple sentences, or less, what is the best piece of advice you've given and you give to your student athletes, your family, life wrestling? Single best piece of advice you've gotten and give.
Great, love it. Here it is, short and sweet. You have to go after this thing or whatever you're trying to do as if it's life or death. But at the end of the day, understand that it's not, that it's only a sport. And the people that walk that line, that attack it like, I can't lose this match because it's life or death, but at the end of the day say, it doesn't matter, it's just a match, and relieve all the pressure, they're the ones that win at the highest level. So, juggling act.
Well, you know what? The example starts at the top because we're talking to an academic All-American. We appreciate your time, Coach, and we'll be looking out for you. That's Dennis Papadatos, the pride of Hofstra. Thanks for your time.
Appreciate it, man.
Wrestling, a sport measured by technique, mental toughness, discipline, and persistence. But it also brings children with all skill levels interested in the sport in droves when there's great coaching. Team Purcelli Training Center in Iowa is at the epicenter of great wrestling. Being one of the best youth clubs in the Midwest, the center has a deep understanding for community and wellness. At the top of their game, they may be in Iowa, but they have nationwide appeal and a national model for success. Run by U.S. Veterans National Champion Anthony Purcelli, Purcelli's vision and mission of the center is to build children from the ground up with their wellness in mind. To Purcelli, it doesn't matter if the children are novice wrestlers or state champions. His goal is to build character, create a positive, nurturing, and spirited environment, and to produce respectful ambassadors in his community. The training center benefits people from all ages, ranging from the average fitness workout to mixed martial arts, specialized youth training, and self-defense. Purcelli Training Center, where excellence is the standard.
I'll tell you, Michael, I am pumped, after listening to Coach Papadatos. Look, definitely gets excited about the program. We didn't talk about they were 11-5 last year. They had 2 returning qualifiers. They picked up another qualifier from Fresno. Hofstra's on the move.
Yeah, look, I mean, I've been a Hofstra guy since Tom Ryan came in as a young guy and put a fence around.
Oh, you know, you were always a front runner. It was I love Tom Ryan, but it was easy to root for Tom Ryan, right? I'm talking about, you know, let's be honest with you.
Look, Billy O.C., if you can for the crowd,
they were top 10 in the country. You know,
why don't you just put up?
Yeah.
I was a 14-year-old kid wrestling on Long Island, looking up the superhero. Why don't you put front runner up and then see if the definition doesn't come up with Mike Vetrano's face right next to it? Okay, that's probably how that goes.
That's a defense mechanism. That's okay.
I've liked Hofstra since I was 12 years old. Since when Tom Ryan was there. I've known Dennis as a college athlete that I looked up to. I knew him as a peer when we trained together. I'm a fan of everybody and anybody from Long Island or is about Long Island. Hofstra went through an incredibly difficult administrative standpoint where they had some folks come in that weren't as supportive as past administrations. And, you know, from what I understand right now, at the end of 2021, Matty D, the man behind the glass, our director of research and data, the best in the biz. He could probably flash that stuff up, but they're getting a new admin coming in that might be a little bit more sports centric. And it's very, very exciting time to be a wrestling fan for Hofstra, a wrestling fan for Long Island University, a wrestling fan to in Long Island, New York, the East Coast. It's the best time to ever be a wrestling fan right now.
Look, Tom Ryan was awesome, and Coach Papadatos is doing a great job, and there was a couple of successful coaches along the way. But before we have our next guest, we'll call it the man on the scene, Coach Dolson. I want to make sure that we get his position. We talk about this, right? Because the word on the street, if you will, is there's going to be a 28-day season, right? And, you know, typically you have the 7-day rule. So I want to figure out, is there going to be a 7-day rule? There's kind of rumors that there might not be. What that means is, I don't know if you can count to 7, Mike, but once you get to 7, you can't compete, you can't practice, can't do anything. You have to take a day off. So there's rumors that they're going to waive that and you're going to be able to compete all the way through. Is that good or is that bad, Mike?
I mean, I got a different point of it. I'm not a high school teacher. I'm not a high school coach. I love wrestling. I've always loved wrestling as the art of it. You know, kids don't know, you know, anything except for what adults in the room teach them. So what I'd like to see is you know, the COVID tournament, the COVID season. Let's focus on wrestling right now and making it streamlined into the spring, and then put a button on the end of it, a bow on the end of the prize for Fargo. If we want to have wrestling, let's think a little bit more cohesively in terms of long-term placement of our athletes into college, how we're going to be able to get more girls into the program, and less about, you know, shifting weights, weighing in 7 days. Let's make sure that the kids are healthy and strong enough to be able to compete for 6 minutes, and then let's go let them wrestle 15 times in a day. As long as they're able to protect themselves, then I don't know what 7 days is. I don't know what weight classes are. Let's just put some kids on some mats and let them roll around and be passionate about it.
So I want to be clear. So you think it's good for a high school kid, or even we have middle school kids on the high school program, as you know. So you think it's good for a JV varsity athlete to practice or compete 28 days in a row? You think that's healthy? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, I practiced 28 days in a row. Okay. You know, tons of times. It's called July. It's called August.
All right.
I put 2 and 3 day workouts in multiple different sports when I was in high school and then in college, you know, focus on wrestling. But yeah, I think that there needs to be rest, you know, 3 days on, 1 day off. The adults in the room need to be able to make sure that the kids are able to protect themselves. That's what these rules are in there for.
Well, that's why they had the 7-day rule. Now they're saying that we're going to confirm. They said that you could waive it and you could go right through. Look, I don't really know. I didn't put a lot of thought into it, but I'm just, you know, the people are talking, if you will. 28 days. Is it going to be
I can't count to 7. You're 100% right, Mike.
You certainly can't count to 28. After the only month that you could count is February, right? Because that's after that it's over for you. Our man on the scene is coming in. So I just wanted to kind of get your position on 28 days is a good idea. I think it's a good idea.
My position is not to be a front runner for
I know.
Those who are great at wrestling.
You like the Patriots probably too after they won all the Super Bowls.
I don't. My position is to love wrestling and see youth, girls and boys discover it, find it, be passionate about it, and then adults be able to continue to share that passion, and let's not have weight classes. Let's not have dual meet score points right now. It's
look, we have Coach Dolson. For those of you that kind of couldn't figure out, that's called avoiding the question and changing the subject. We're going to go to our coach on the scene from Mattituck, the head coach, Corey Dolson. All right, I'm super excited. We got our coach on the scene, the pride of Rocky Point, the head coach of Mattituck. That's Corey Dolson. How are you, Corey?
What's up, boys? How we doing?
Good. We're super excited to have you. You know, we want a little bit of inside information. You know, there's a coaches meeting today, I think. There was an AD meeting. You know, we're hearing all kinds of rumblings. Are we going to have a season or not?
Yeah, actually, my head's still spinning. I just got out of a hour and a half Suffolk County coaches meeting. Sounds like it's full steam ahead. Going to start on Monday. Very interesting meeting when you get all these hammerhead Suffolk County coaches together on Google Meet. So, you know, listen, man, we're going to go for it. Hopefully it works out. We got to stay positive. And, you know, hopefully we get through the month unscathed. We'll see what happens.
Must have been a lot of technical difficulties. You know, I know a lot of those guys, you know, getting on. You know, I want to talk to you about, I want to talk to you about, look, everyone's excited. I'm excited. The duration of the season, right? There's, I think, 28 days, right? And I believe there's a minimum of 10 practices, right? You can't do stuff more than on 7 days in a row, right? So even if I have the Mike math calculator, that literally puts us at 16, 17 days, right? So what is that shaped up to be? Are we going to get 3 or 4 dual meets? Are we going to sneak a tournament in? We're going to get the coveted league and county tournament. What's that like? Because I kind of have mixed feelings about it. I want to get your position.
I mean, so I'm just going to correct you there, right? So,
all right, correct me. Yeah,
do it all day. You're not the only one.
Do it.
The only one, Dolson.
I get it a lot. I set him up though. I texted him earlier just to make it look like I was wrong. But go.
Correct him.
Yeah.
It's 4 weeks season. We do need 10 practices before we can.
Right.
But no 7-day rule, so you can literally go.
Okay.
So that is a bonus. You know, I'm not saying everyone's going to go 28 days, but the way it's set up, you know, you have the opportunity to practice, you know, or compete the whole month. So again, you need those 10 days before we compete. And then it's, you know, it's going to be about a 2.5 week competition window, you know, culminating in a, you know, small sized, dual meet county championship. Just one division, kind of like old school, no D1, no D2. But it'd be very small. I think there's only going to be like 8 teams. It'll be the first place teams in every league. And I believe they'll take the top 2 teams from Division 2, right? So listen, right, Mike, I think I'm with you where would I like to see an individual league county tournament? 100%. I just think these kids work too hard. But I'm also not going to be the guy that is going to complain about having a wrestling season in the middle of COVID, right? So I'm just happy we're having a season. Would I like a little bit more, maybe a couple more weeks, get a little more creative and give the kids some kind of individual tournament, even if we have to do 3 weight classes, you know, at a school and have it at 10 schools, whatever you want to do. I feel like we could do it. But unfortunately I don't get paid to make those big time decisions. So it is what it is.
Well, look, I mean, Corey, let's go back a little bit to give some people who don't know you a little bit of background. You and I go back since we've been little kids. Our fathers smoked cigarette butt ends.
I feel sorry for you, first of all, Corey. But
to feel sorry. You wish that you grew up in the nice hamlet of Sound Beach.
I wish I was an Eagle. I wish I was an Eagle.
Yeah, you might have been a winner.
You're right.
Grown up in our neighborhood.
You're right.
So with that said, Corey, you were, you know, pretty successful on the wrestling mat as an athlete yourself. You went on to college. You were very competitive. You're typically the smartest guy in the room. I think that you were running a bookie service out of your college dorm at some point. You know, as a coach, you've done phenomenal things. You had 4 state champs, 47 county champions, which is the 3rd most in Suffolk County history. You're doing unbelievable things out in Mattituck. Speak a little bit about what you're doing. Yeah, I know you had a girl that came onto your program and won an unofficial Suffolk County tournament. Talk a little bit about where you see girls wrestling, what you're doing at Mattituck to develop girls. I know that, and just kind of what you see on the female side of wrestling within Suffolk County, Long Island, and the bigger picture.
Yeah, so I mean, first off, I just love all the Rocky Point love on this show.
It's very difficult for me, but it's happening. Yeah, it's very difficult. Yeah.
But as far as female wrestling, I actually watched. I got through, I think, the first half Jenna Burkett interview you guys did. It was great. I remember her when she was a little kid coming up. You know, obviously being Rocky Point Longwood, we'd always would kind of see her around, and just watching where she has gotten is kind of phenomenal, I think, especially as a local Suffolk County girl, right? So, like Mike said, I have a girl on my team, Ansley Hannis. She won a female girls title, but county title, unofficial, whatever you want to call it, this year. But a lot of people don't realize she actually was my starting 113 pounder as a 9th grade girl. She started every match for us, and at the beginning of the year, at 113 pounds. It's tough for a female, right? A lot of times they can be very competitive at 99, 106. You get above that, it's just the strength factor is very difficult. So I would have those conversations with her as like, listen, I don't have to throw you out there. If you want to wrestle JV, I'll put you on JV. And to her credit, her mindset is, no, I want to go. I want to wrestle the boys. I want to wrestle the best guys. So as far as female wrestling is concerned, I think more of the girls need to see the Jenna Burkett stories, right? To kind of see that you can come from a small little school on Long Island and get yourself all the way to the world championships and be a world medalist and go to the Olympics. I think that just makes it more real for all of them. And, in my case, I've had a couple of girls in my program, and they've been the hardest working athletes in the room. That makes it so much easier, right? It's not like the boys are looking at them like, we got this girl in the room who's just kind of on the team to make it a circus. They respect those females because they work so hard, So I think it's a super positive thing, and I'm glad to see it growing across the board, female wrestling.
So with that said, you are the most competitive guy I know. You won a team state title in wrestling. Your wife was second in the New York State tournament with her lacrosse team. You guys both won Long Island teacher, coaches, athletes of the year for Long Island. I mean, it's unbelievable that it comes out of your household. The season's real short right now. Weight cutting is going to be a question. Are kids going to cut weight? How competitive is it going to be? What is your thought, being the most competitive guy I know? Should this season really be something that we're trying to gung-ho and go competitive with? Or do you think there should be a longer term approach, thinking about Fargo, thinking about freestyle season, and having a more cohesive blend for a yearly approach to wrestling and the next steps? Or is this season really going to go hard at?
Before you answer, I want you to know that Michael, I bought him a dictionary. He learned like 3 or 4 of those words in the last week, but now go for it.
I follow Torriero on Twitter, so he does a lot
he does some like word stuff. He's trying to
word stuff.
He's trying to catch up. That's all right. We love him.
I read a lot. I have the internet. You can't be.
Admit, you guys have the internet where you live? Oh.
For those at home, Mike, you can't be ignorant anymore like you are. Right. Because of the Google and because of the
Google. You hear that?
That's right.
Corey,
That's
Google.
right. No one is allowed to be ignorant any longer. If you have, I think they say the sign of intelligence is asking the right questions, Mike. So I'll help you ask
Thank
the right
you.
questions.
I'm glad that I motivated you. That's what I want to say. All right, Corey, answer the question. I don't even know what he said, but try to make out an answer. Here we go.
Everybody needs somebody to push him. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Or be a bad example of, Mike.
Right,
whatever it is.
All right. Come on. We're running out of time. I have another question for him. Come on, Corey.
Listen, I think, I can only answer this question for myself, how I'm going to approach this season, right? Like I said, I just got off this Zoom call with all these guys talking about all county and all league and weight certification, all this stuff, right? That, in the grand scheme of things, in the real season is super important stuff. This year, like we talked about, Vetrano, you're talking about 2.5 week competition schedule, right? So like, and maybe I'm not in the position where I have a top 5 team in the county. So maybe I'm looking at it a little different, right? I want to maximize the competition of that 2.5 weeks or of this month season, right? So in my opinion, to be gung-ho about dual meet wins and losses, and again, this is just speaking for myself, that's not really my goal. And I had a practice yesterday, with my first practice with the team, and a meeting with my team. And I kind of explained to them, like, we just put the wrestling room back together. There was 50 desks in here on Monday, right? Like, so I have great administration. Sean Purcelli, the building principal, is a big wrestling guy. We moved a bunch of stuff around, classes, got the desks out. I put the wrestling room back together and had a practice yesterday. So I kind of talked to those guys about, you know, just being grateful for the season, being grateful for the opportunity. I don't want anybody to cut any weight. Let's just get as many matches as we can, right? I got a kid like Joe Sparacchio who just transferred in, who's an all-state kid. Like, my goal is to get Joe Sparacchio the best match of every dual meet that I can, right? Like, I don't care what weight class it is. I can care less. I'll weigh him in 2 weight classes up. It doesn't matter, right? So as far as like a normal season, I would jockey my lineup and do a hardcore scouting report and maybe forfeit to this guy or bump a guy here or try to avoid one guy. Like me, I'm not going to do any of that stuff this year, right? Like, I want as many matches as possible. I want to maximize the season. And I told my guys, listen, be grateful, because even though the season's only a month long, we're in here now. So after February 28th, my wrestling mats aren't going anywhere. We can get in the room. We can train. Papalizio's putting on that tournament. We can train freestyle. We can go to the Leighton tournaments. We can do stuff now. We have a room. We have life. We're allowed to wrestle. So it's 4 weeks. Let's just get the most out of it. And, you know, if you want to really go gung-ho and be the COVID 2.5 week champion, God bless.
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot. Who is, other than Mattituck, obviously, who's the team to beat? Who's the team to beat in Suffolk County? Who's the team to beat?
I think Hopog is a no-brainer, right?
All right. So there you have it. Hopog, the team to beat. We appreciate our coach on the team, the pride of Rocky Point, the Mattituck head coach, Corey Dolson. Thank you.
Later, boys.
See you again, sir. Corey, later.